fat guy makes a landing. You know, of all the, and I really, really don't like New Age stuff at all. I absolutely can't stand it. However, broken clock is right twice a day. Here's something else. I don't care if anybody attacks me, they can say whatever they want about me. But by God, at least get it right. Don't lie about me. There's like another, someone pointed me to some nonsense video, and the guy keeps saying that I'm part of the electric universe. Not only am I not part of the electric universe, I can't stand electric universe principles, the whole ethos. You know, I call it the cult of plasma, humorously, and it's admittedly quite accurate. I not only am I not part of them, I've never been to a meeting. I would never go. I have nothing to do with it. If you're going to attack me, at least get it right. don't say I'm part of something that not only I'm not a part of, but I have absolutely no love for whatsoever. Completely ridiculous. But the one thing that I thought the New Age folks, you know, didn't get right, you know, completely ludicrous, and this was me thinking this many, many ages ago, decades literally, was the holographic universe principle. But once again, you know, broken clock analogy, broken clock's right twice a day, or every 24 hours, as the case might be. The holographic universe, however, is accurate. There's a lot of principles to back this up. The unfortunate thing is that since the New Age movement is full of so much fluff and woo, it's called woo, meaning nonsense, that they actually can't illustrate it, they actually can't enunciate what it is that they're supporting. And they'll say it's holographic. It's like, well, what do you mean by that? You know, what sort of substantiation, or at least some sort of logical premise for them? And it is the case, of course, that 100% of the universe, as I've said many countless times, exists due to and due only to magnetism. Every atom, as your teacher accurately, one of the things that they did get right is every atom is 99.99999%. It's emptiness. It's like this super giant beach ball as large as a skyscraper, and the nucleus is like analogous to like maybe a rice grain or two at the center of a beach ball the size of a skyscraper, or something maybe more extravagant than that, which is correct, but I mean, that's not emptiness, it's actually magnetodielectricity, but specifically, the three-dimensional force vector is the after effect of a divergent magnetic field that actually props up, or is the air inside the balloon of every atom. The entire universe is holographic. The one thing that even Henri Poncari probably didn't assume that he got right was his theoretical model. You could look this up and read about it. It's quite difficult for an initiate's mind to wrap itself around. It's called the Poncari disk model of projective geometry, wherein which, and there's a simple little formula that backs it up, kind of like a repeating fractal algorithm, such as the Mandelbrot set or the Julia set, wherein which the two-dimensional geometry of reality, and reality, of course, is incorrect, where I would call the plane of inertia, or the substrate to phenomena, is projective. And there's actually a neat model in a museum about the Poincare disk model, where it actually creates a hyperboloid around a two-dimensional disk base, and this projective geometry is the extrapolation of Poincaré's theoretical disk model, but he himself never said, nor did he jump to the rational conclusion that this is the correct model of the universe, that the universe really is holographic. There is another New Age person who has the same first name as mine. He wrote a book on the holographic universe. It's not even worth reading. I think his name is Amit Goswami. He also too wrote a book on holographic universe. I have that book somewhere in my back room. It's not also either worth reading. So it's kind of fascinating. There's 2 books on the holographic universe. There might be 3 now, but none of them actually defer to, you know, logical premise behind the holographic universe. You know, why is it holographic? Force manifestation is necessitatively 3-dimensional, but this dimension is the negative image of infinity, which of course is spatial and eternity. And of course, eternity is a reference to time. So let me repeat that again, since it's actually so important. That force manifestation is necessitatively three-dimensional. It's actually a three-dimensional force S-curve. But this dimension is the negative image of infinity. We could say subspace, counter space, 0-point energy. There's 1,000 different things we could call it, and we've heard all sorts of things in science fiction and declarations by other people, including Aristotelian, Platonic, and Pythagorean ether. They actually were trying to understand the nature of the ether. There are many, many different ideas about the ether. Some consider it to be atomic, and some call it a fluid. All these things, of course, are analogous misfits, which don't correctly define what the ether is, which cannot be comprised of anything. It is the actual original denotation of the term inertia, as meant non-Cartesian pure potential. Pure energy in counter space. And of course, even saying in counter space is a misnomer, because in counter space would give a designation of a place or a locus. In is a reference, some sort of Cartesian reference, which is not applicable to something that is underneath this phenomenal universe. This phenomenal universe is propped up by magnetism only. And it is, as such, a holographic projection. Now, there's a reason, and I have it over here, and I don't have to whip out all the cables and whatnot relational to this. I don't have it turned on right now. This is just two optically flat pieces of glass with a minuscule subdrop of liquid in it. This, of course, is the supercell. You place a magnetic field under it, and the light extrapolates out the constructive and destructive interference, and of course manifests this amazing holography, which is 1,000 times better than the best hologram you've ever seen. And it makes sense that the point source coherent field of the magnet itself, as is painted, the constructive and destructive lines of the magnetic field, which is the fight between the magnetic and the dielectric, the conjugate geometry, the universe, i.e. respectively the hyperboloid and the torus. You just see this incredible, and all the videos that I have, and I've got at least 1,000 videos of it, doesn't give it justice until you have one in your hand. You just see incredible holography. But in the back of your mind, you're looking at something infinitely thinner than a human hair, vis-a-vis, the small remnant of the drop of liquid that exists between those. And all an optical flat is something that is super optically flat, and depends on the wavelength of how flat it is, but basically means it's just super flat glass. And in other words, its index of refraction on the surface is incredibly low, within X amount of a wavelength of light. But you see this incredible holography. But where is this holography coming from? The holography is due to magnetism and magnetism only. The holography of the universe on the atomic scale is exactly the same. Well, our teachers, and we were told in high school and college accurately that an atom is 99.99%. It's not empty. There's no such thing as empty. It is the after effect of a divergent magnetic field. Every atom, of course, is nothing other than a super powerful electrostatic dynamo. As we now know, and I was the correct predictor thereof, is that several magnitudes above that of gamma radiation, many magnitudes above that of gamma radiation, we actually have the fundamental particle. Also, too, all free neutrons become protons after 17 minutes. All branches of science agree upon this. This means, of course, there's only one fundamental particle. The electron is conceptual abstraction with no basis in reality. This charge-carrying particle, of course, is not a particle at all. The so-called discoverer of same J.J. Thomson referred to the principle of electron as one unit of dielectric induction. The geniuses of field theory vis-a-vis Faraday, Maxwell, Steinmetz, and others, Dollard, have said there's no such thing as an electron. Boil it down to the fact that there's only one fundamental particle. And these fundamental particles in compound make, of course, different atomic elements, but in fundamental, at the very base of which we have hydrogen. And a hydrogen atom, of course, is mostly nothing. But it's not mostly nothing. It's a magnetodielectric dynamo whose actual volume, measured in picometers, makes up what we call the atom. But the point being is that everything that we consider to be something is really nothing. Every atom, accurately, is not matter. It is the volume extrapolation of the loss of energy of that dynamo that is making up the volume of an atom, which is mostly a field interaction of the dynamo that is the atom itself, vis-a-vis the holographic projective universe that accurately is extrapolated out in the theory of Poncari and his disk model. And just look up Poncari disk model of projective geometry. It'll take a little bit of crushing on your brain there to wrap it around, and there's some actual 3D models that were created. They're kind of ingenious, but time and magnitude are, of course, one and the same thing. You know, beings such that we are suffer time only such that we and you are embodied and identify with this corporeal phenomena. You know, we suffer time or burn in the sands of time. Time is the after effect of a divergent magnetic field, which of course is the measure of mass and magnitude. The ancient Buddhists, and also too in the Upanishads before, said this: when this is present, that is present. When this is not present, then that is not present. In other words, when you have mass and magnitude, you have therefore necessitatively time. This word necessitative is not accurate. What it really means is it cannot exist any other way. And the Greeks called this word ananke. Also too called it tolma, and they called it the eristos dias. But everything in this universe, people will say, why are you so interested? I've been asked this question many thousands of times. Why are you so interested in magnetism? Well, the answer really is simple. 100% of the visible universe exists solely and entirely due to magnetism. But what is magnetism? Magnetism is not something separate from the dielectric. The loss of energy that makes up the dielectric, whose geometry is that of the hyperboloid, increasing inertia and acceleration towards counter space, is in the perpetual fight, if you will. Kind of like yin and yang. They're not two different things. They're a holos. They are one thing comprised of principle and attribute. Like light and illumination. The loss of energy manifests illumination. Illumination, when this is present, that is present. When illumination is present, therefore things are illuminated. And when things are illuminated, we necessitatively then now have shadows. We don't have a shadow here because they got lights pointing in from all directions, but when this is present, that is present. But the holographic universe is accurate. Everything that we think is real and phenomenal and has mass, magnitude, and volume is a phantasm. Exactly like and if you've never held one in your hand, it's a brilliant phantasm. Just exactly like the phantasm of the incredible holography. Like the hologram on your credit card, well, a true art hologram is about 1,000 times more impressive than that. Most of you have never seen a true art hologram. This is 1,000 times more impressive than a true art hologram. As impressive as that true art holography, magnetic field holography, which is an art in itself. Like, what do we mean by holography? We use the word holography. We talk about words like golden ratio. People throw these words around, but they don't really know what they actually point to and what they mean. The holographic universe, the one thing many decades ago, maybe 25 years, it is New Age poppycock, because I have honestly no respect and no love for anything in the New Age movement, but and they don't own it. I mean, it existed prior to them. It's been postulated, except without using the word holography, for a very, very long time before the New Age movement came along. But the one thing that they got correct, that a lot of them adhere to, is that that the universe is holographic, and hence ultimately utterly unreal. Everything that we think is real is not real. The ancients said this, that human beings have the world upside down. Everything we think is real is unreal, and the stuff that we think is unreal is the only real. I love it when people say, because we have these stigmas of words. People use the word ghost, for example. I don't believe in it. Well, who cares what you believe in? I love it when people say, I don't believe in it. We just use the word like disembodied being. I don't have my radio here. I took my radio in the other room. I mean, to think that these things don't exist, this is one example of how human beings, embrace falsehood, and deny reality. It's like, so you don't believe in them. Well, I don't care what you don't believe in. Let's go with that. So, is there a radio and a radio broadcast? Yes, of course there is. So if I smash the radio, there's no signal, right? What do you mean? Well, you just said that ghosts don't exist. Let's just use the word disembodied being. Well, that's right. I don't believe in it. Oh, really? So, disembodied beings don't exist, or what you, in the vernacular, call a ghost. Yeah, that's right. I don't believe in it. So, but you do believe, you do believe in a radio and its broadcast. It's exactly right. But if I smash the radio to bits, and is the signal, still present, and we can't pinpoint the signal because it is everywhere all at the same time. It has no Cartesian locus. It is a field perturbation. It is EMF, electromagnetic frequency, or specifically EMR, electromagnetic radiation. I mean, is the signal still there if I smash the radio? Well, of course it has. Well, you've just contradicted yourself. I mean, people have everything upside down about it. So you believe in a signal without the radio, but you don't believe in that which makes up the human, because there's no soul in the body. But that is not a denial of the soul. If I say there's no soul in the body, well, that guy believes there's no soul. He must be an atheist. Soul denier. Because a true atheist, from the perspective vis-a-vis Philebus 29d of the Platonists, has nothing to do with gods one way or the other. It has to do with metaphysical substrate, phenomena. In other words, like a sock puppet but no hand underneath, which is ridiculous. Of course there's a hand underneath. The notion that, psychophysical human beings are just a sock puppet, but there's no hand underneath it. There's no little people in the TV set, but that's not denying people or the signal, the manifestation thereof. And it's just one kind of perfect example. I always love to, throw back at people that they just don't think. Critical thinking is completely de-evolved out of this world, unfortunately. This is the reason why you need to read stuff like the Metaphysics and the Enneads and so on and so forth. Like I make a list of yesterday for people to read to have critical thinking skills. Anyway, I hope you liked this video and I didn't drone on too far. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.